How beautiful is this? Hi, it's Leigh here. I love creating with paint, paper, glue and scissors, among other things. And I'm going to show you how I created some gorgeous little art tiles today. I'm using Arteo's beautiful faux vintage stamps. You can get them from his Etsy shop and the link is in my video description box. So his shop name is Arteo Mixed Media and Art. Now you really don't need a lot of equipment and things to make these tiles. The cardboard I'm using is the backing sheet off a mixed media pad. The glue I just used Mod Podge. The only special thing that I'm using is the glaze medium. So you don't even have to use that if you don't want to, because I made a couple and all I did was coat them in Mod Podge and they worked out as well. They're just not as shiny as the ones that have been glazed. Now there's really only 5 steps to making these. So stamp the background, ink the edge, glue the image, cover the image in Mod Podge, let them dry. The last one, if you want to do it, is to glaze them. Very easy to make and a quick process if you do it as a production line, like do all your stamping, do all your inking, which I didn't do, as you can see. I'm a bit scattered. Everything's all over the place, but we'll get there in the end. More fun this way, I think. With this one, I haven't gessoed the cardboard. I've just covered it in Mod Podge, applied the stamp, and then Mod Podged over the stamp. And I've coated the stamp with Mod Podge. That helps to protect it from anything else that goes on top. It does give a light sheen as well. And that one's off to the side to dry, ready for the next step. And here's another piece of cardboard. This one has been gessoed. And I'm going to put a bird stamp on it this time. Same process. I haven't put any stamping onto that card. But I'm going to ink around the edge of it with some Distress Oxide. So that's walnut stain that I'm using. And pop that one aside to dry and move on to the next one. So for this one I'm using a slightly bigger piece of cardboard and I have stamped it with the archival ink. Actually I think that's walnut stain on that one. And I'm spraying a little bit of a mixture that I made up out of re-inker, and it's Dusty Rose, I think, something like that. Anyway, it's a pinky colour. And I just mixed some of that with water and put it in a spray bottle. So this one I decided to give it tatty edges around the outside of the stamp. Then I'm inking it with the walnut stain. Trying to make up my mind where I'm going to place it. And then I think, well, I'll put a bit more stamping on that because that ink that I sprayed on there is a little bit overpowering. Just applying Mod Podge to the back of the stamp, then I'll fix it down and cover the front of it in Mod Podge as well. Now if you're wondering why in some instances I inked around the cardboard before I started and others I did it halfway through or at the end of the process, it's purely that I forgot to do it in the beginning. But it's much better if you ink around it first. And what I found when I did that, the Mod Podge actually activated the Distress Oxide and it created a nice, like a haze around the edge of the cardboard. So I just dropped some, splattered some more of that ink onto that one. I got more on the backing sheet though than I did anywhere else. So they're up the top. So I've made 4. It's a really quick process to get this first bit done. If you've already got your card cut up and your stamps cut apart. When I picked that one up, it was a bit tacky and my finger pulled off some of the stamp. So I got another mixture that I made with some speckled egg re-inker and put a little bit of that on this particular stamp. I sort of thought I'd ruined it, but in the end this ended up being one of the ones that I really liked because it has that very, very vintage look about it. So yeah, it was one of my favourites. So I have no order, as you can see. Sometimes I do one thing first, sometimes I do the other. This one I've sprayed with the speckled egg. I've inked around the edge of the stamp already. And I'm just creating a bit of air over that ink to dry it. You can actually dries so fast you can see it drying. Like if you look at it, you get the shiny patch that just disappears before your eyes. So this time I remembered to do the inking around the outside before I did the other things. That little sponge that's on that dauber will need to be thrown away because it's got Mod Podge on it from using it after I'd glued everything down. I found the speckled egg and this walnut stain went really well together as a colour combination. This is gold ink and I'm just going to put a few drops here and there on the right hand side of this stamp. And there's another one done and drying. This one I used just some scraps that were on my table just for the heck of it really, just to see how it would turn out. So I've got a piece of corrugated cardboard, a little scrap of embossed paper and a piece of the side of a sheet I tore out of a little art journal. So that's my Lumacolor permanent pencil that I'm putting around the edge of this one. I was doing that and then I slipped and put it on the inside, so then I had to do that all the way around. So it was only supposed to be on the edge, but a happy accident. It looked nice when it was finished. I did actually draw some lines on there because I thought they would show up through the holes in that scrap of paper there that I'm just applying. And a little scrap of corrugated cardboard. Okay, so I'm doing another bird one. So I'll just continue making these tiles like this. And when I get to the end, I'll show you the glazing process and a flip through of sorts to show you what they look like when they're finished. Look at this now before I put the Mod Podge on it, and then after the Mod Podge has gone on, you can see what I mean about the Mod Podge activating the Distress Oxide. See how it sort of blends the Distress Oxide around a bit, like it gives it a, I don't know, like a misty look around the outside. I think it looks really nice. This one I stamped it with Distress Oxide and then sprayed it with water to spread that around a bit, and added a few drops of re-inker, which I then spread out and then activated that with water, just for something different to do. I didn't want them to all look exactly the same. I wanted each one to have its own little characteristics. If you're enjoying the video and you're learning something from it and you want to give me some support, the easiest and the freest way to do that is to give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then I invite you to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications. That way you'll never miss a new video. This is a vellum die cut leaf that I'm going to put onto this particular one. I just glued it over the stamp because the vellum is transparent. It didn't really cover up the stamp, it just added a highlight. I thought that one was really nice, one of my favourites. This is a piece of sari silk. I had to add more glue to get it to stay on the cardboard though. So that's what I've done, 2 applications of Mod Podge on there. That is a scrap of journaling card that had been stitched around the edge, so I just added that onto this one and then put a stamp over the top of it. I liked the way the threads were hanging off the edge, but when I glazed it I actually pushed them into the card and covered them with glaze so they weren't poking out. So I'm getting quite a little collection of tiles on my desk now. That's another one of the vellum leaves, slightly different to the first one I used. And I'll cut the top off that one. So this one I decided to use a Stabilo on. I hadn't inked it, and this is the one that I sort of lifted the part of the image off with my finger when I picked it up and the glue was still wet. After I'd finished this, I noticed a few of them I hadn't done any edging on them, so I'm using the archival ink to do them in black, just where I think they need it. So that's them all gathered there together. They're all going to dry out and then I'll apply that glaze. So I did do a couple to make sure it was going to work. This one with the bird on it. So how I applied it is I just poured a pool of the glaze into the middle of the stamp, and then I used a piece of a bamboo skewer to smooth it around rather than brush it. When I made my other art tiles, I used a brush because it says it's brush on glaze. I found that it did actually leave brush marks in the glaze on some of the tiles. This way worked better. So I start to actually apply a little bit more than I was in the first place. I tried a couple of different techniques. I tried running a bead of it along one edge and then letting it run down, but it didn't run down evenly. Now, I printed my stamps on an inkjet printer, and as you would probably know, if you add water to something that's been printed on an inkjet printer, it will affect the print. So by covering those images with Mod Podge after I'd glued them onto the little pieces of cardboard before I did anything else to them, it sealed that ink in and stopped it from running. Otherwise, I found when I did my art tiles, my Zodiac art tiles, the glaze actually made the print and the inks, all sorts of things, run. So I'm just showing how one of these little tiles can enhance a journal page or a card. So both of those look gorgeous on that particular page. That one would look nice but on that page, but the page really doesn't have enough room for it to be on there. That's I was just showing where I had actually used one of those stamps in that collage. Just the paper. So they're great. They're great for adding extra interest to a page, texture, pop a colour if necessary. So I do encourage you to have a go at making them, even if you haven't got the glaze, to just do it with Mod Podge, or even just gel medium or PVA glue would work, because that's basically all Mod Podge is. So I'll give you a look at them all now. They're all beautiful. Love those ones with the vellum leaf on them. And you will note they're not perfect. I used my guillotine to cut the cardboard and it doesn't cut straight. So they're not squared. The stamps aren't square on the pieces of cardboard because the cardboard's not squared. So they're beautifully imperfect. Love that one with the sari silk, and I love the butterfly. And this bird one, that's super. Well, I hope I've inspired you to make some of your own art tiles. And as I say, you don't need too much special equipment. I mean, you just need glue, an image to put on your piece of recycled cardboard. You don't have to have the glazing. That's just an added bonus for me. I was lucky enough to have some left over from another project. And just have fun. They're really quick to make. Can use them in all sorts of applications. So thanks very much for watching. Let me know what you think, and let me know if there's something that you would like me to do a video about, and if I am able to do it, I will. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment, and I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you are not already a subscriber. Don't forget to turn on the bell so you get notified when I put up a new video, which is about 3 or 4 times a week, and I'll see you in the next video. So I'll say cheers and bye from Australia. Hooroo.